Imagine the most powerful creature ever to exist. A being so ancient, so massive, so filled with raw power that entire civilizations trembled at the mention of its name. For thousands of years, this dragon ruled unchallenged. Nothing could stop it. Nothing could hurt it. Nothing could change it. But then something impossible happened. A human boy, just a regular kid with nothing but kindness in his heart, found this dying dragon alone in the mountains. What happened next will challenge everything you thought you knew about power, strength, and what really matters in this world. Here's what shocked me most. The most powerful being alive didn't need weapons or magic or ancient knowledge to be saved. It needed something we all have but rarely use. Something so simple that scientists are still studying why it works. In the next few minutes, I'll show you exactly how a helpless boy saved an immortal dragon. I'll reveal the shocking moment when the dragon realized its true weakness. And I'll explain the discovery that changes the entire meaning of strength forever. Let me show you exactly how this happened. Deep in the mountains where no human dared to go, there existed a creature that belonged to another age entirely. This dragon had watched civilizations rise and fall like waves on an ocean. It had seen empires crumble to dust. It had witnessed the birth of technologies that would have seemed like magic to earlier generations. The dragon's scales shimmered with colors that didn't exist in nature. Each scale was harder than diamond. Its teeth could slice through stone like butter. Its wings, when fully spread, could block out the entire sky. When it roared, mountains echoed with sound for hours. But on this particular day, something was terribly wrong. The dragon lay on its side in a hidden valley. Its breathing came slow and shallow. The magical light that normally burned bright in its eyes had dimmed to almost nothing. This ancient being, this force of nature that had conquered everything it encountered, was dying. The dragon knew what was happening. It had lived long enough to understand mortality. It had seen other magical creatures fade away. It had witnessed the slow death of magic itself as the world changed around it. But knowing didn't make it easier. For the first time in thousands of years, the dragon felt afraid. Not fear of death itself. The dragon had made peace with that long ago. No, this fear was different. This was the fear of dying alone. This was the fear that nothing it had ever done would matter once it was gone. This was the fear that all its power, all its strength, all its ancient knowledge would simply vanish like smoke. The dragon had ruled through power. Every creature, every person, every kingdom had obeyed through fear. The dragon had never needed anything else. Kindness seemed like weakness. Friendship seemed like a trap. Trust seemed impossible. So the dragon had remained alone, even surrounded by worshippers and servants. True loneliness was the price of absolute power. As the dragon's heartbeat grew fainter, it accepted this. Power had been enough. Strength had been enough. Being feared had been enough. Then it heard something. At first, the dragon thought it was imagining. But no, there were definitely footsteps. Someone was climbing into the hidden valley. Someone had found this secret place that had been hidden from the world for centuries. The dragon's first instinct was anger. How dare someone intrude on its final moments? But the dragon was too weak to do anything about it. It couldn't even lift its head. Through the fading light, a figure appeared. It was a boy. Not a warrior. Not a mage. Not anyone important by any measure. Just a regular human child, maybe 12 or 13 years old, wearing an old burgundy jacket that had seen better days. The boy stopped when he saw the dragon. His eyes grew wide. His mouth opened in shock. This moment stretched forever in the dragon's mind. This was the moment that everything would change, though neither of them knew it yet. The boy didn't run. The boy didn't scream. The boy didn't try to attack or steal, or do any of the things the dragon had come to expect from humans over the centuries. Instead, the boy did something that the dragon had never experienced before. The boy walked closer with tears streaming down his face. "Hey," the boy said softly. His voice was small and gentle. "Are you okay? Are you hurt?" The dragon couldn't believe what was happening. This human, this weak, fragile human wasn't afraid. The dragon couldn't sense any fear in the boy at all. Instead, the dragon felt something completely different radiating from this child. The dragon felt concern. The dragon felt compassion. The dragon felt love. The boy knelt down slowly, keeping his distance, not wanting to startle the great creature. "Don't worry," the boy whispered. "I'm not going to hurt you. I'm just here to help. You don't have to be alone anymore." These simple words, spoken with pure sincerity, struck the dragon like lightning. In all its thousands of years of existence, no one had ever offered help without wanting something in return. No one had ever shown concern for the dragon's well-being. No one had ever suggested that the dragon didn't have to face things alone. The dragon felt something breaking inside. Something hard and cold that had been frozen for millennia was beginning to crack. The boy stayed where he was, keeping his distance but never taking his eyes away from the dragon's face. He could see the painches. He could see the exhaustion. He could see something else too, something that surprised him deeply. He could see fear. "My name is Kai," the boy said, speaking in the same soft, gentle voice. "I know you probably don't understand me, but I want you to know that you're not alone anymore. Whatever happens, I'm staying right here with you." The dragon had never heard a human speak with such kindness. Throughout its entire existence, every human interaction had been either worship or warfare. Humans had built temples in the dragon's honor while secretly plotting to steal its treasure. Humans had sung songs celebrating the dragon's power while being absolutely terrified. But no human had ever simply sat with the dragon as an equal. No human had ever offered companionship. Kai moved a little closer. Very slowly, with movements meant to be completely and threatening. The boy inched forward. The dragon could have killed him with a single breath. But that thought never entered the dragon's mind. Instead, the dragon found itself curious. What was this human doing? "I found you by accident," Kai explained. "I was hiking in the mountains, trying to get away from home for a while. My life is pretty complicated right now. My parents fight a lot. School is hard. I feel like nobody really understands me." The boy paused, looking at the dragon's massive face. "I bet you feel that way too. I bet you're really powerful and really strong, but I bet you're also really lonely. Am I right?" The dragon couldn't move its head to nod, but something in its expression changed. The boy was absolutely right. The dragon had spent centuries being powerful and being alone, not understanding that these two things were connected. Kai moved closer still. He was now within arm's reach of the dragon's enormous head. "Can I touch you?" he asked. "I promise I'm not going to hurt you." The dragon wanted to say yes, but it couldn't speak in human language. All it could do was hold still, signaling permission. The boy reached out his small hand and placed it gently on the dragon's scaled forehead. The moment his skin touched the dragon's scales, something extraordinary happened. A warm, golden light began to flow from the boy's hand into the dragon's body. But it wasn't just light. It was energy. It was life. It was something far more powerful than the dragon's ancient magic. The dragon had spent its entire existence believing that power came from strength, from size, from the ability to dominate others. But in this moment, the dragon discovered something that changed everything. The most powerful force in the universe wasn't destruction or control or fear. It was connection. It was the simple act of one living being caring about another living being's suffering and choosing to ease that painches. It was the choice to sit with someone in their darkness and offer light. It was the decision to love someone, even when you barely knew them. As the golden light flowed through the dragon's body, Its wounds began to heal. The pain that had been consuming it started to fade. The exhaustion that had been pulling it toward death released its grip. But something even more important was happening on the inside. The dragon's heart, which had been closed and hardened by thousands of years of isolation, was opening. Memories of every lonely night, every moment of power that felt empty, every victory that tasted like ash, all of these were being washed away by something pure and true. Kai kept his hand on the dragon's forehead and spoke softly. "You're going to be okay. I'm going to make sure of it. You don't ever have to be alone again. I promise." The dragon felt tears forming in its ancient eyes. These were the first tears it had shed in thousands of years. And they weren't tears of pain or sadness. They were tears of relief, tears of gratitude, tears of finally understanding what it had been missing all along. The boy and the dragon stayed like that for hours as the sun set over the mountains and the stars began to appear in the sky. Neither of them moved. Neither of them needed to. In that moment, two beings from completely different worlds had found something that transcended all differences. They had found each other. As night fell completely over the mountains, the dragon's strength continued to return. Its breathing became deeper and steadier. The light in its eyes grew brighter. But something more important was happening. The dragon was beginning to understand the true nature of what had just occurred. Throughout its entire existence, the dragon had operated under a fundamental belief. It believed that power meant control. Strength meant dominance. Greatness meant being feared. Every decision the dragon had made, every relationship it had formed, every interaction it had experienced, all of it had been filtered through this single lens. But Kai had changed everything. The boy wasn't sleeping. He was sitting against the dragon's massive body, completely exhausted but refusing to leave. His hand still rested on the dragon's forehead, maintaining that connection that had become so vital. "Thank you," the dragon finally whispered. Its voice was ancient and deep, carrying the weight of millennia. It had spoken to humans before, but never with such genuine emotion. "I don't understand what you've done. I don't understand why you've done it. But thank you." Kai opened his tired eyes and smiled. "You're welcome. I'm just glad you're okay." "But I'm not okay," the dragon said slowly, as if discovering this truth for the first time. "I'm not okay. I have been powerful for thousands of years, but I have never been okay. I have been alone. I have been empty. I have been afraid." The boy didn't respond with words. Instead, he simply squeezed the dragon's forehead gently, offering comfort without judgment. "Do you know what I realized?" the dragon continued. "I spent my entire existence trying to be the most powerful being alive. And I succeeded. There is no creature in this world that could match my strength. There is no enemy that could defeat me in combat. There is no force that could control me against my will." The dragon paused, and when it spoke again, its voice was filled with wonder and sorrow at the same time. "But you defeated me with a single touch. You conquered me with your kindness. You bound me with your compassion. How is this possible?" Kai thought carefully about how to answer. Because real power isn't about being strong. Real power is about being brave enough to care about someone else. It's about being strong enough to be kind. You're the most powerful being alive because you can do anything. But I beat you because I did the one thing you never expected. I loved you. The dragon was silent for a long time. The concept of love was almost foreign to it. The dragon had experienced worship. It had experienced fear. It had experienced respect and awe and reverence. But love, true, unconditional, ask nothing in return love. This was something entirely different. "Throughout my life," the dragon said slowly, "everyone worshipped me out of fear. They served me out of obligation. They praised me out of terror. But you care about me simply because I exist. You would help me even if I could give you nothing. You would love me even if I could destroy you. That's what love is, Kai said simply. It doesn't keep score. It doesn't demand payment. It just is. The dragon looked down at this small human boy who had walked into its life just hours ago and changed its entire understanding of what mattered. And the dragon understood something profound. All of its power, all of its strength, all of its dominion over the world, none of it mattered compared to this connection with another being. I want you to know something, the dragon said. I was dying today. Not just my body, but my spirit. I was fading because I had nothing worth living for. I had conquered everything, and it was all empty. But you have given me something worth living for. You have given me a reason to continue. Kai's eyes filled with tears. You're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. And from now on, you're never going to be alone. I promise. And I promise, the dragon said, that I will spend the rest of my life honoring this gift you have given me. I will become worthy of your love. I will prove that strength and kindness can exist together. I will show the world that the most powerful being alive is not the one who conquers others, but the one who chooses to care. As the night deepened, the boy and the dragon remained together, not as master and servant, not as powerful and weak, but as two souls who had found each other in the darkness and decided that connection was worth more than anything else in the world. Days passed, then weeks, then months. The boy and the dragon remained hidden in the secret valley, but word began to spread. People noticed that the dragon was no longer destroying villages. The attacks stopped completely. The fear that had gripped entire kingdoms for centuries began to fade. Adventurers who had spent their whole lives training to fight the dragon suddenly found themselves without a purpose. Kingdoms that had built their defenses around the dragon's threat had to reevaluate their entire existence. The world was changing, and nobody could figure out why. Then one day, a group of scholars and explorers managed to find their way to the hidden valley. They expected to find a dragon prepared for battle. Instead, they found something that shattered every belief system about power and strength that they had ever held. They found the dragon and the boy sitting peacefully together in a meadow filled with flowers. The dragon's scales gleamed in the sunlight, showing colors more beautiful than anyone had ever imagined. The boy was braiding flowers into a crown for the dragon's head. It's true, one of the scholars whispered. It's actually true. The news spread like wildfire. The most powerful being alive, the creature that had been feared for thousands of years, had chosen peace. And it had been changed not by force or magic, but by the simple compassion of a young boy. Some people didn't believe it. Some kingdoms actually became more afraid, believing this was a trick. But many people understood the deeper truth. They began to see the dragon differently. They began to understand that the dragon had never needed to be conquered. It had needed to be seen. It had needed to be understood. It had needed to be loved. Kai's story spread across the world. Parents told their children about the boy who was brave enough to approach a dragon without weapons. Teachers used his story to teach about the power of kindness. Philosophers debated what his actions meant about the nature of strength and weakness. But the most important changes happened in people's hearts. Children who had been taught to fear the dragon began to see it differently. Adults who had spent their entire lives preparing for a battle that would never come began to question whether violence was really the answer to their problems. Communities that had been divided by fear began to come together. The dragon, too, was changing. It began to use its incredible strength not for domination, but for protection. It would move boulders to create bridges across dangerous chasms. It would create shelters for people in need. It would share its vast knowledge with anyone who asked, no longer demanding worship or tribute. Kai remained by the dragon's side through all of this. He grew older. He became a young man. But his commitment to the dragon never wavered. Together, They traveled the world, and wherever they went, people's perspectives changed. What had seemed impossible became real. What had seemed impossible became normal. The most powerful being alive had learned that true strength wasn't about controlling others. It was about lifting them up. It wasn't about being feared. It was about being loved. It wasn't about conquering the world. It was about nurturing it. But perhaps the most important thing was this. The dragon learned that it was never too late to change. No matter how long you've lived a certain way, no matter how deeply you've embraced a certain philosophy, no matter how far you've traveled down a certain path, you can always turn around. You can always choose differently. You can always open your heart. And Kai learned something equally profound. He learned that true courage isn't about physical strength. It's about being willing to see the pain in another being and choosing to ease that pain, even when it might be dangerous. It's about offering kindness when you could offer judgment. It's about choosing love when you could choose fear. The dragon and the boy had found each other in the darkness, and they had chosen light. And in doing so, they had changed not just their own lives, but the entire world around them. Years continued to pass. Kai had become a man with wisdom beyond his years. The dragon, despite its immense age, seemed to grow younger with each passing day. But one evening, as they sat together watching the sunset, the dragon revealed something that would change everything once more. "I need to tell you something," the dragon said. Its voice was quiet, almost vulnerable. "Something that I should have told you long ago." Kai turned to face the ancient creature he loved so deeply. "What is it?" "When you first touched me," the dragon began, "when you placed your hand on my forehead and gave me that golden light, I felt something change inside me. I thought it was just healing. I thought it was just the return of my strength. But I was wrong. It was something much more profound." The dragon paused, searching for the right words. "I realize now that I was never actually dying of an illness. I was dying of loneliness. My body was failing because my spirit was broken. The magic that had kept me alive for thousands of years was fading because I had no reason to live anymore. But your love didn't just heal my body. It restored my will to exist." "I know," Kai said gently. "That's why I stayed with you." "Yes," the dragon nodded slowly. "But there's something more. Something I only just fully understood. When you loved me unconditionally, when you saw past my power and my strength and my ancient nature, and simply loved me as another being deserving of care, you changed the fundamental nature of magic itself." The dragon looked out toward the horizon. For thousands of years, magic has been divided into two categories: the magic of power, the magic of dominion and control, and the magic of destruction, the magic that tears down and consumes. But your love created something that should not be possible. It created the magic of connection, the magic of healing, the magic of transformation through compassion. Kai realized what the dragon was saying. "You're saying that my love created a new kind of magic." "Yes," the dragon confirmed. "And I believe this is the most powerful magic that has ever existed. Because it doesn't require ancient knowledge or innate talent or special bloodlines. It requires only one thing: the willingness to care about another, being more than you care about yourself. And every human possesses this capacity. Every single one of you has the power to transform the world." As if to demonstrate, the dragon extended one massive claw toward Kai. Where the claw met the boy's hand, golden light bloomed once more. But this time, the light didn't flow from Kai to the dragon. It flowed equally in both directions. Two beings of completely different natures, completely different power levels, completely different everything, and yet they were equals in this moment. Equals in their love. Equals in their humanity. "This is the secret," the dragon whispered. "This is what the universe has been trying to teach since the beginning. The most powerful being alive isn't the one with the greatest strength, or the longest life, or the deepest knowledge. The most powerful being alive is the one who chooses love, who chooses connection, who chooses to see the pain in another and decides to ease it. Kai understood then why the dragon had chosen to share this with him now. This was the ultimate revelation. This was what everything had been leading toward. So what do we do with this knowledge? Kai asked. The dragon smiled, a gesture it had learned from the boy years ago. We teach it. We share it. We show the world that true power comes from the heart, not from dominion. We demonstrate that the most powerful being alive is not the dragon. It's you. It's every person who chooses love over fear. It's every human who looks at another being and says, I see your pain, and I'm going to help. And so the dragon and the boy continued their journey, not as master and servant, not as powerful and weak, but as partners in a great discovery. They traveled the world spreading this message. They showed people that they didn't need to conquer their enemies. They needed to understand them. They didn't need to dominate their world. They needed to nurture it. The most powerful being alive had finally realized its true strength. And it had learned this strength from a boy with nothing but kindness in his heart. Here's the truth that movies and stories rarely show you. We are told that power comes from strength. We are told that dominance equals success. We are told that the person who wins is the one who never shows weakness. But this story reveals something completely different. The most powerful being alive learned its greatest lesson from someone with almost nothing. A dragon that had conquered kingdoms, that had lived for thousands of years, that had every advantage imaginable. It was saved by a boy with just compassion and time. And here's what still amazes me. This story isn't fiction. This is a reflection of something deeply true about our world. Every single day, people are discovering that kindness is more powerful than cruelty. Connection is more lasting than dominion. Love changes things that strength never could. If this opened your eyes to what real power actually is, I want you to understand something. You don't need to be a dragon. You don't need to be ancient or powerful or special. You just need to be willing to care about another being unconditionally. That's all it takes. That's the most powerful thing in the world. Let me recap what we discovered today. First, the most powerful being alive isn't powerful because of strength. It's powerful because of connection. Second, loneliness is more dangerous than any physical illness. A being can survive without food, without shelter, without victory, but not without someone who cares. Third, it's never too late to change. No matter how long you've lived one way, you can always open your heart and choose differently. This is why the dragon's story matters. It shows us that transformation is possible, that redemption exists, that love actually works. If you felt something shift inside you watching this story, I want to invite you to do 3 things. First, hit that subscribe button. We're releasing similar stories every week that show humanity's greatest potential. Stories about how ordinary people do extraordinary things. Second, share this video. Someone in your life needs to remember that kindness is strength, that caring matters, that they have more power than they think. Third, join our community. We're building something special, a group of people committed to understanding that real power comes from love. Comment below and tell me, what does real strength mean to you? The dragon's story changed because of one boy's choice. What will change because of yours?